Imagine this. A team of quarry workers splits a massive sandstone boulder, one formed countless millennia ago. As the rock cracks open, something impossible happens. A living frog sits in a perfectly formed cavity inside. It blinks, alive and well, after being what looks like entombed in solid rock. This sounds like pure fantasy, a biological impossibility. And yet, stories like this have been told for centuries. Miners, stonemasons, and even scientists have reported finding living frogs and toads sealed inside ancient stone. But is it possible? Could an animal truly survive for eons without food, water, or air? Today, we're digging into this incredible mystery, separating a stubborn myth from a surprising and equally fascinating truth. The answer reveals not a biological miracle, but a creature that has mastered the art of living in stone, just not in the way you might think. For hundreds of years, the story of the toad in the hole has captured the public imagination. Reports stretch from 18th century Sweden to 19th century England and beyond, with famous figures like Charles Dickens and Benjamin Franklin even commenting on the phenomenon. These accounts often share the same mind-boggling details. A perfectly healthy amphibian discovered in a custom-fit cavity within an otherwise solid block of stone or coal, miles from any pond. At first glance, it's a compelling puzzle. How could it happen? Early theories ranged from the supernatural to the idea that frog spawn trapped during the rock's formation had lain dormant for geologic ages. The stories were so persistent that even the great naturalist Carl Linnaeus didn't immediately dismiss them. But in the 19th century, a respected and wonderfully eccentric English geologist named William Buckland decided to put the theory to a scientific test. In 1825, he designed an experiment. Buckland took 24 toads and sealed them into small, carved-out chambers in two large blocks, one of porous limestone and the other of non-porous sandstone, which he then buried in his garden. According to historical accounts, a year later he dug them up. The results were telling. All the toads sealed within the dense, airtight sandstone were dead. In the more porous limestone, a few were still alive, but Buckland noted that the seals on their chambers had developed cracks, likely allowing in air and maybe a few insects. To confirm, he resealed the survivors and buried them again. When he unearthed the block a second year later, all the toads were dead. Buckland's experiment gave us the first strong scientific takedown of the myth. His conclusion was simple. Toads can't survive for extreme lengths of time in a sealed environment. It's a matter of basic biology. Complex animals need three things to live: oxygen, water, and food. A completely sealed chamber provides none of these. A human can survive maybe 3 weeks without food, and only a few days without water, while a toad can dramatically slow its metabolism in a process called estivation. It can't just stop it entirely. Its body still needs to function, and that requires energy. The idea of an animal surviving for thousands, let alone millions of years in a stone tomb is, biologically speaking, impossible. So what explains all those eyewitness accounts? Most scientists agree they're likely a mix of misinterpretation and honest mistakes. As a writer for the journal, Nature put it in 1910, a frog might be hopping near a stone as it's being broken, and the observer immediately rushes to the conclusion that he has seen the creature dropping out of the stone itself. In other cases, a toad might be hibernating in a deep, mud-filled crack that wasn't obvious until the rock split along that natural fissure. And of course, some stories were just tall tales or outright fakes. It's been suggested that a mummified toad was even presented by the infamous Piltdown Man hoaxer, Charles Dawson. The bottom line is, while geologists and fossil hunters break rocks all day long, all over the world, not a single one has ever professionally documented finding a living frog inside solid rock. The myth of the entombed frog is a fantastic story, but the reality of animals that do live in rock is even more bizarre. While frogs don't magically appear inside boulders, there are real animals that spend their entire lives inside solid rock. They just get there the hard way. They drill their own homes. Meet the piddock clam, a group of bivalve mollusks that are nature's master excavators. Also known as boring clams or angel wings for their delicate, wing-shaped shells, piddocks are found in coastal areas all over the world. They are adapted for boring into softer rocks like clay, shale, and sandstone, not hard granite, but the sedimentary rocks lining many coastlines. Their life's work starts when they are just tiny, free-swimming larvae. The larva drifts through the ocean until it finds a good patch of rock to settle on. Once it lands, its drilling career begins. The clam anchors itself with its foot and starts grinding away at the rock. One end of its shell is covered with rows of sharp, spiny ridges that act like a file. By twisting and rocking its body, the piddock uses these ridges to scrape away at the stone, slowly but surely carving out a tunnel. This isn't a fast job. A piddock might only excavate a few millimeters a month. As the clam grows, it deepens and widens its burrow. Eventually, it becomes a permanent prisoner in the fortress it built for itself. The entrance to the burrow is narrower than its adult body, so it can never leave. It's literally locked in for life. But this self-made prison is also an incredible stronghold. The rock provides protection from predators and the pounding of waves. Safe inside its burrow, the piddock extends two siphons out of the opening. One siphon sucks in seawater, filtering out plankton for food, while the other expels waste. It's a perfect self-contained survival system. The clam lives its entire adult life, sometimes up to 8 years or more, inside the rocky home it built for itself. So, when you're walking along a beach and find a stone riddled with perfectly round, smooth holes, you're likely holding the handiwork of a piddock clam. These aren't just random holes, they're abandoned homes, architectural marvels made by a creature that evolved to turn solid rock into a safe haven. The story of the piddock clam is a perfect example of how the natural world is often stranger and more ingenious than any myth. These animals aren't breaking the laws of biology. They're showing off a remarkable adaptation that has allowed them to thrive. It's a reminder that for every seemingly impossible story, there's often an even more incredible scientific explanation waiting to be discovered. If you enjoy digging into these kinds of mysteries, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. We've got plenty more surprising truths to uncover together. The piddock story doesn't end with its death. In fact, that's when its greatest contribution to the ecosystem often begins. These creatures are more than just rock dwellers. They are powerful ecological engineers, a force of nature known as bioeroders. Bioerosion is the process of living organisms breaking down hard substrates. As a piddock slowly grinds away, it fundamentally weakens the rock from the inside out. Over time, a rock face riddled with piddock burrows becomes fragile, like Swiss cheese. During powerful storms, these weakened sections can break off and crumble. This process, driven by countless tiny clams, plays a significant role in shaping our coastlines and creating sediment, but the piddock's legacy is constructive too. When a piddock dies, its burrow doesn't stay empty for long. These ready-made holes become highly desirable real estate for a host of other marine animals. The empty burrows provide shelter for small crabs, sea anemones, worms, snails, and brittle stars. They essentially create microhabitats, turning a barren rock face into a bustling apartment complex for the local marine community. Piddocks aren't the only bioeroders. This guild of rock-boring organisms includes sponges, worms, and even some bacteria and algae. Some use chemicals, secreting acid to dissolve rock, while others, like the piddock, rely on pure mechanical force. Together, their collective action over millions of years helps sculpt the world we see today, recycling nutrients and creating complex habitats. And, if that wasn't cool enough, one species of piddock, Pholus dactylus, has another secret. It's bioluminescent. It glows with a faint blue-green light, a living lantern inside a stone. We're left with two very different stories about animals living in rock. One is a persistent and fascinating myth, the tale of the entombed frog, an animal that miraculously survives for centuries, breaking all the rules of biology. It's a story that speaks to our fascination with the impossible, but it remains just that, a story. The other is the scientific reality, which is no less astonishing. It's the story of the piddock clam, an animal that doesn't defy biology but instead showcases its ingenuity. It doesn't appear in rock by magic. It gets there through sheer, persistent effort, grinding out a home for itself millimeter by millimeter. These creatures show us that living in rock isn't a story of impossible survival, but one of incredible adaptation. The truth behind the myth isn't a miracle that defies the laws of nature. It's a testament to the slow, powerful, and endlessly creative force of evolution. And sometimes, the truth is far more impressive than the myth it replaces.